This is QTV News, and I am Marietta Sidibe. In this edition, area council officials call for a review of the Local Government Act 2002. Red Cross observes International Volunteers Day. Government to review salary structure in 2019. Gambian clubs out of CAF competitions. Those are our top stories, and now the news in detail. His Excellency Mr. Tatsuo Arai, Ambassador-designate of Japan to the Gambia, on Wednesday presented his letter of credence to the President of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, at a ceremony held at the State House in Banjul. Speaking to QTV shortly after presenting his letter of credence, Ambassador Arai said the government of Japan is committed to supporting the sustainable development of the Gambia in various ways.
Japan is now ready to extend our food support, and we are ready to sign to implement food support with the value of $2 million US, and also in various areas like healthcare, we have implemented and we are preparing some projects.
Meanwhile, in a separate engagement, the Regional Maritime University of Ghana, RMU, conferred upon the President of the Gambia the degree of Doctor of Letters. The award of the degree, according to the Board of Governors of RMU, is in recognition of the President's influential and creative leadership and his commitment to African unity and integration. In his acceptance speech, His Excellency President Adama Barrow said promoting learning and excellence are critical to building the needed capacity to achieve its development agenda. He reassured them of Gambia's commitment to the ideals of regional integration and cooperation.
Therefore, I'd like to urge member countries to continue to provide valuable support to the university. Safety of life at sea and protection of maritime environment through effective regulation is paramount to the success of our collective endeavors for a prosperous and sustainable future. It is with deep and profound sense of humility that I happily accept the conferment, which I have the pleasure to delegate to the wonderful people of the Gambia and to my family.
Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs Mamburin Jai has revealed to National Assembly members government's intention to embark on a salary restructure study next year. This announcement follows a 50% salary increment for all civil servants by the government effective January 2019. Aliu Sise tells us more.
The government's move to increase salaries of all civil servants by 50% has been received with mixed reaction by lawmakers. During the debate on the budget, lawmakers welcome the increase, but they argue that the percentage should vary between low-income earners and high-income earners. Honorable Yasin Seka, a nominated member, says the 50% for all means high-income earners will continue to earn more than low-income earners.
Only thing that I want to add on is that if we increase 50%, the poorer will be poorer and the richer will be richer. Thank you.
Salaries for civil servants in the Gambia, most especially those between grades 1 and 6, do not keep up with the rising price of basic commodities. This low pay, according to many, is one major factor for corruption in the government institutions. Minister Njai told MPs that the 50% increment is affordable and sustainable.
50% across the board is for this year. The restructuring of the salary scale will take place. The study during 2019, hopefully 2020. This gap, I think the whole argument is about the gap. So we intend to close the gap by 2020. That's our intention.
But for nominated member Honorable Kumba Jaite, there should have been 75% increment for low-income earners and 25% for high-income earners.
We think the lower salary earners deserve more than the higher salary earners, including us. It's not just about the presidency. If we can afford it across the board, I think they deserve to at least have 75% increase and the rest of us have 25% increase. If we can look into this and do it now, we would really appreciate it rather than waiting till 2020.
Honorable Usman Silla is a member for Banjul North.
Presidency, vice presidency, and those at the upper tier, the executive, I don't think we really need salary increment. I would rather prefer that we maintain this because it's not going to be sustainable.
Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Mambouri Njie, has informed parliamentarians that the Committee on Residence and Accommodation, CORA, would be centralized to look at government rental contracts. Aliou Cissé reports.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Mambouri Njie, has informed the National Assembly members that the Committee on Residence and Accommodation, CORA, will be created to look into government's rental contracts. Minister Njie further disclosed that the government spends millions on private residents occupied by government institutions. One among them is the Ministry of Interior, located along the Battle Harding Highway, where the government is reported to be paying $3 million.
CORA is not only Office of the Vice President, they're sharing, but it comprises of works, it comprises of Ministry of Finance, it comprises of members from lands and local government. It's a well-established committee. And they are not only sitting down in the office and making decisions, they do go around. And government's intention now, as the honorable member from Willie suggested, we are going to refurbish most of the buildings and then put in, we want to avoid the rent because it's not helping us.
Honorable Sidia Jata, the name for Willie West, argued that this is not sustainable.
Can't we at least begin to refurbish the buildings that we have? Why do we continue to rent expensively? For example, if I take the Ministry of Interior, we are told it's 3 million. Why? And we have structures that we can refurbish. Why can't we invest that money into refurbishing government properties and then we stop renting unnecessarily? I think this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. And in fact, it's unwarranted.
Meanwhile, members also voted to maintain the $10 million for the President's Meet the People tour for next year. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Senior officials of Mansakonko Area Council on Wednesday paid a courtesy call on the chairman and commissioners of the Constitutional Review Commission, CRC. The meeting forms part of the Area Council's resolve to engage the CRC regarding the current provisions in the Local Government Act 2002. And Sumane Isonyasi reports.
In a bid to participate in the review and drafting process, senior officials of Mansakonko Area Council today paid a courtesy call on CRC commissioners at their base in Mansakonko. According to the Area Council executives, the meeting with the CRC officials was necessitated by the urgent need to thoroughly review the current Local Government Act. Welcoming them, CRC commissioners expressed their glee at receiving the Area Council officials, saying they are key stakeholders who must not be left behind in the review and drafting process. Speaking earlier, the chairman of Mansakonko Area Council, Landing Sane, said as local government authorities, they are concerned with current laws governing local government operations. He said the Local Government Act have been tampered with many times in the past and enjoined the CRC to create a platform where they will engage area councils in the country.
We are the only parallel government to the central government, and because of that, our input, we believe, in the Constitution is very important. And also knowing that in the past, probably our act is the only act that has been seriously dealt with or mutilated by the former government. So we have a lot of issues surrounding our act that has to do with our structures and our operations. Because of that, it has come to our thought that we have some, probably we value this consultation very well, but we would appreciate again if we can have special engagement of the local government fraternity, if not Mansakonko Area Council alone, but the local government fraternity.
The Vice Principal of Rural Development Institute, Mr. Usman Sonko, questioned the rationale behind the current model of decentralization in relation to the operations of area councils in the country. He also enjoined CRC officials to consider organizing a day-long consultation with local government authorities in order to create a platform where stakeholders will share their opinions and bring about the much desired change in the Local Government Act.
Today, you cannot compare the powers of chairperson of Mansakonko Area Council to the powers given to the mayor of Banjul City Council or Okea, when they all came through the same process. So, like he indicated, I know you are constrained by time, but I just want to emphasize that having that day-long session with the local government fraternity, most especially council, will definitely also help them to position themselves in the new Gambia. I think Women's Bureau has a similar thing because they have specific concerns that they think women should be heard, and then their position should be highly considered in the new constitution.
Responding to their concerns, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Commission, Justice Chona Jallo, assured them of the CRC's commitment to engage all stakeholders in the drive to draft a constitution that all Gambians will be proud of. He, however, said the CRC will look into their requests and will get back to them as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for me, on behalf of my colleague commissioners, to be able to meet with you this morning. As has already been stated, yes, we are constrained for time. This was never planned. But at the CRC, we believe in the process of engagement, engaging with whoever we can and whoever desires to have that kind of arrangement with us so that we can hear from the person, because that's what the CRC review process is all about at this stage. And we are certainly happy that you've taken the initiative to reach out to us, and for that we are grateful.
Other speakers included the Vice Chair of the Constitutional Review Commission, Awasisa Sabali, who implored area council authorities to make written submissions to the CRC. Reporting for QTV News from LRR, I am Ansumana Isonyasi.
International Volunteers Day was celebrated on Wednesday by the Gambia Red Cross Society. The day is viewed as a unique chance for volunteers and organizations to celebrate their efforts, values, and promote their work among communities. Babakar Sisse reports.
International Volunteers Day is celebrated on the 5th of December every year. The Gambia Red Cross Society observed the day by organizing a capacity building program for first aid training of trainers. The acting volunteer management coordinator for the Gambia Red Cross Society explains the significance of the day.
The International Volunteer Day is very, very significant to us as the Red Cross volunteers, because this is a day we are celebrating our volunteers. We are saying appreciation or giving appreciation to our volunteers. We thank them for their effort and then their contribution toward saving lives in the world. These are volunteers that are selected from all parts of the Gambia in the 7 regions of the country. The selection was very challenging because we contacted our regional officers with their executive to provide us for volunteers. Now, every region was able to send in 2 volunteers among the best in their region to come and participate in this workshop.
Lamin Kamara, the National First Aid Coordinator for the Gambia Red Cross Society, explains the importance of the training and how giving first aid could help save lives.
The procedure that they are doing here is called CPR. CPR means cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It's the combination of the external chest compression and mouth-to-mouth. And this procedure, you do it to someone who is not breathing or have cardiac arrest. Because as you know, if you don't breathe for 10 minutes, you will have brain damage. The process that you are compressing the heart, the blood is going back to the brain, and it will help the person, it will sustain those brain cells so that the person can survive. Just that Gambians don't recognize first aid, but definitely is very, very important. In all gatherings, in all institutions, in all workplaces, first aiders must be there, because these are the first respondents that will take care of casualties. If they collapse, they have cardiac arrest. The distance between the workplace and the house, if you don't give first aid, the person can lose his life. This is the reason many people will die, because we don't administer first aid at the initial stage when someone collapses or get injury. It's very, very vital. What we are yearning is in 2020, all households in the Gambia get at least 1 first aider.
Mariama Kamara, a volunteer from Banjul Red Cross, tells us the experience she gains from the training.
The most accountable aim of our objectives is to save life, and in saving life there are a lot of techniques involved in it. So as of the TOT training, it has teach me a lot in terms of standard, how to save life in a standard position, because we are in a life that volunteerism could save more life than it can give. So for example, if I had known that first aid can only save life without knowing the standard techniques, I might go wrong somewhere without knowing it, and that might lead to a death of a person or that person losing his life. But through this TOT training, I'm taught the standard ways of saving life, so that in any situation I find myself, I can standardize that procedures and use my resources and help others, teach them to be able to save life.
To celebrate the power and potential of volunteerism, the day gives an opportunity for volunteer groups to celebrate the power and potential of volunteerism. The day gives opportunity for voluntary groups or organizations to highlight some of the amazing work undertaken and achievements in the past years and the challenges that lie ahead. Babakar Sise, QTV News.
In sports, Gambian clubs, Armed Forces and Gamtel have been knocked out of the CAF Champions League and Confederations Cup. Both sides were expecting progress following away draws, but losing 1-0 at home came as a shock. Momodu Gajaga was at the stadium and he now reports.
A thunder shot into the roof of the net from Manu Nana was not only a shock but ended Armed Forces' hope of progress into the second round of the CAF Champions League preliminary. Losing at home after getting a good result away in the first leg is becoming frequent with both the national teams and clubs. Yet again, Gambian clubs failed to impress at home even when it appeared they had a chance. Armed Forces' 1-1 away draw to Ivorian side San Pedro a week ago had given the khaki boys a glimmer of hope, knowing that a 0-0 draw would see them through. A goal that came out of nothing at the stroke of half-time proved to be the winner and sent San Pedro to the second round of the CAF Champions League preliminary. The host team failed to show any signs of urgency and lacked class, organization and attacking prowess to hold their opponents in the first half. The lackluster performance of some of the players nullified their attacks in the second half, as they failed to create any meaningful chances of scoring.
We just have to apologize and say sorry to all Gambian football lovers, all football lovers generally, worldwide. You expect something from somebody. It's because the person is good enough to do the job. On this day today, we are not lucky. I personally cannot give much credit to my players because it wasn't the same way that we normally knock the ball with speed. But I mean, I'm not giving any excuses. We barely have kicked a ball in the league, and San Pedro they have already played over 11 league games. So no excuses though. But if you look at it, they play in a professional league, and already, you know, it shows, it vindicates. By the look of their players, I won't say they were better than my players, but on the day, luck was on their side because the only time the ball was flicked over to their striker and a shot that Baka couldn't save, that was the only threat we had. So kudos to them.
I'm very happy to this result. Thanks to my players and thanks to the team of GAF. I thank to the people of Gambia. We are happy now. It's the first experience to the club in African competition. We say thanks for God, thanks for my player. Thanks for the people of Gambia. Our objective is the third or first place in every league, and we hope to go match by match in competition CAF. Yes.
Elsewhere, Gamtel lost to Algerian side CS Constantine 1-0 at home following a 0-0 draw away last week. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin, we will recap our main stories. His Excellency Mr. Tatsuo Arai, Ambassador-designate of Japan to the Gambia, on Wednesday presented his letter of credence to the President of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, at a ceremony held at the State House in Banjul. Speaking to QTV shortly after presenting his letter of credence, Ambassador Arai said the government of Japan is committed to supporting the sustainable development of the Gambia in various ways. Government here, says Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs Mamburin Jai, in the ongoing 2019 budget estimates debate in the National Assembly. This announcement follows a 50% salary increment for all civil servants effective in January 2019. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs Mamburin Jai has informed parliamentarians that the Committee on Residence and Accommodation, CORA, will be centralized to look at government rental contracts.